that music was loud. Let me just turn that down and readjust it. What is up? We are back doing another live stream. How are we all today? So the reason I haven't been streaming as much as usual, well, is because I've actually been turning the VODs into videos, and pretty good videos at that. They're actually a lot easier to edit. They're a lot easier to edit. Back when I was originally doing YouTube, my videos took ages to edit because I had to do like a PNG, because I didn't have a VTuber. I did a PNG avatar. I did a PNG avatar for everything, and so I had to just place the PNG every like few seconds, and that would take even like a 8-minute video days to edit. So, you know, that's why I got burnt out on YouTube. But now this is a lot easier to edit. I can make a 50-minute video in maybe a day, or just over a day. Maybe 2 days if I'm not as, if I'm procrastinating a bit too much. Maybe 2 days then. But, yeah, it's pretty good. I really like doing these reacts. It's pretty fun. I'm not sure what else to do on stream after we do reacts. I'm not sure. Because, well, when I do reacts, I actually transform the content. I turn, like, a 17-minute video into like a 50-minute video. I can drastically, if I have a lot to talk about on the topic, I can drastically change the how long the video goes for, just because I yap so much. And that's the quality of mine. Well, depends who you ask whether it's a quality. But let me just check my mic real quick. Advanced audio properties. My mic fine? Yeah, my mic's fine. It is fine, right? Oh, Alexa. Stop. Okay, fine now? Okay. My Alexa was on. I'm glad I checked that. I was very, my Alexa was on. Okay, so, let me just make sure, okay, it's on 2. Okay, the video we have up today is... Wait. Okay, we are back. The video we have today is why gentle parenting isn't the answer either. Now, apparently I have watched this video indeed. I was confused because I don't remember. Well, I mean, I kind of remember watching it. I remember the title, I recognized it, but I haven't seen this video. If I have seen this video, I don't really remember much about it. So we're going to be looking at this. Why gentle parenting isn't the answer either. We'll see if this is good to react to. If I can commentate on it, we'll see. Yeah. So the video is called "Why Gentle Parenting Isn't the Answer Either."
Story. I am literally afraid of my child. I honestly cannot get him to stop.
Okay.
Oh hey. Can I tell y'all a story? I am literally afraid of my child. I honestly cannot get him to stop hurting me. Obviously, the gentle no is not working. We're that couple.
What are we starting off with? A child being abusive? Okay, that's a twist.
Who at restaurants people stare at and shake their heads. We don't know what we did wrong.
Shut your big mouth, I hate you!
I'm concerned our gentle parenting has backfired and perhaps our baby boomer parents were correct. We already know abusive.
Bro. If I did that as a child, I would be yelled at a lot. Very badly. Can't remember if I would have been slapped, but I would have been yelled at the very least.
narcissistic parenting ain't the right way to raise a child. But from what we see here, it seems like the literal exact opposite of that isn't the answer either. But why? What are today's parents missing that's stopping kids from growing up to be normal? Let's look at 3 stories of gentle parenting and find out why it's not working for most parents, and if we can save the next generation.
No, that hurt my soul. Hold on.
Parenting and find out why it's not working for most parents. And if
Not the TV! Not the TV! Don't do it! No, please! No, don't.
if we can
no!
save the next generation
Not
of
the
kids
TV. Oh, God.
before it's too late. In order to do that though, we need to learn how we got here in the first place. You know it's getting rough out here when having a good mom or dad is seen as a luxury. We can agree that no one's perfect, but does that give you the right to treat your children as if they're your property just because you gave birth to them?
Obviously not. And I hope everyone here can see that. But doing the exact opposite isn't good either. But I'm sure that's where he's going with this, right?
For pretty much all of human history, the default parenting style was pretty much the traditional authoritarian style, where, for lack of better terminology, you do what I say because I said so. No argument, no discussion, no reason as to why such and such rules are enforced. Nah, if you gave even the slightest disobedience, congratulations, you just invited yourself to a 3-way conversation. You, your mom, the belt. Unfortunately.
And honestly, I hate that. I loathe that. I've always hated the style of parenting where you do it because I said so. I fucking hate that. Having not being able to not having the mental capacity to explain to your child why you're doing something or why they can't do something just shows the mental incompetency on you as a parent. Look, for instance, I'll give a good example. When I first had access to the internet, this was when I was 9 or 10. Now, I had very limited access, like very limited. I was only, if I was allowed online, I'll play online games, and I was only ever allowed to speak to friends my parents approved. And usually there would only be, well, the rule was also that I would only be able to speak to people that were 2 years older or younger. So if I was 10, I could only speak to 12-year-olds or below my age, or below that number. Sorry about the dog in the background.
Unfortunately, this was...
Wait. Sorry about that. Okay, so basically, what the fuck was my point? When I was 9 or 10, I could only speak to people 12 years old, 2 years older than me, or younger. And when and they told me why I could only speak to people 2 years older than me or younger. And they were transparent to me and the dangers of the internet, and why I was only allowed to speak to certain groups of people. I don't recall ever going behind their back, and that's me being honest. I never went behind their back, at least from what I remember, and that was because they were transparent with me on why I couldn't. They were transparent with me on why I wasn't able to, and kids will always find a way around it if you aren't transparent enough with them on why they can't do something. And that's the thing. So let's continue the video. I was making such a good point, and then the dog starts barking. God damn it.
It's normal for so long that instilling blind obedience no reason as to why such and such rules are enforced. Nah, if you gave even the slightest disobedience, congratulations. You just invited yourself to a three-way conversation. You, your mom, the belt. Unfortunately,
Yeah, and honestly, that is horrible. Now, I'm not one to say that.
this
Fuck me dead. Okay. We're stuck in this one frame because I can't fucking record. Fuck, I hate dogs. I mean, I don't hate dogs. Fuck. What are you gonna do when animals bark, right? Fucking hell. Okay. I know what point I was trying to make. I completely forgot.
You just invited yourself to a three-way conversation. You, your mom, the belt. Unfortunately, this was normal for so long that instilling blind obedience in your child was synonymous with being a good parent. The problem with this, besides, raising a child soldier who's afraid to do anything because they're scared of being beaten or yelled at, is that it's actually possible for parents to take this a step further and abuse this style of parenting to feed their narcissistic and egotistical desires. How many stories of parents trying to live vicariously through their kids' successes, or mom belittling her kids to make herself feel better?
Yeah, and see, this is the thing. A lot of these parents, they are narcissistic, narcissistic, and they just want to control. They have a power fantasy. They just want to control their children. They don't care about their well-being. And what this video is going on about is, the not helicopter parenting, the gentle parenting, and that's also an issue. But we'll get to that point, that stage, and I'll discuss that when we got to this point.
We need to hear, or yelling, or being unnecessarily cruel to their child for no other reason than they felt threatened or triggered in some way that has nothing to do with what the kid actually did. And good God almighty, look what came out of that. Low self-esteem, PTSD, general anxiety, people pleasing. Are these the traits you want to instill in your children who you intend to grow up to be functional adults? However, let me take y'all back to the 2010s, because at this point, advancements in psychology has entered the world of parenting for well over a century now. And now those same kids are engaging in adulthood and toying with the idea of becoming parents themselves. Those same kids who are finally going to look back at how badly their own parents treated them and say, nah, I'm not going to do that. Thus,
and honestly, I do have respect for that. But the only problem with that is they probably overshot. So I think what the whole problem with gentle parenting is, it all comes down to these kids that grew up into parents, grew up to adults and they became parents. They have so much trauma for being treated so badly and treated like property. They overcorrected and they gave their child everything, which is not a good idea. Because a child does need structure, a child does need boundaries, and a child does need to learn their place. But they overcorrected and did the opposite of that, and they weren't able to have the not mental capacity, but they weren't able to treat their child like how they're meant to be treated. Instead, they treated them like an adult, which is not good for growth. They treated them like how an adult would be treated in they treated them how they treated their child good, but they didn't give fucking him. God, it's so hard to record this fucking video. I can't record this video because dogs keep barking. Oh, fuck. I wish I had a cat. Cats would be way better. Fuck me. What was I saying? I can't even remember.
The concept of what the I'm not going to do that. Thus, the concept of what the internet calls gentle parenting is born. As we can see, it did come from good intentions, where traditional parenting focuses on a punishment and reward system to teach kids the difference between good and bad. The goal is to use empathy, respect, and understanding to teach children appropriate behavior regulation and emotional discipline. Essentially, it would be like if you threw a tantrum as a child, even if it bordered on the line of disrespectful. Instead of your Caribbean parent grabbing all reliable, they take a moment to verbalize what the child might be feeling in the moment and explain to them why that behavior is harmful to them or others.
And honestly, that sounds like a good idea. It really does sound like a good idea. Until you realize the fact that children of certain ages don't have the mental capacity to be able to comprehend about something. See, young children, I'm talking about even toddlers, right? Toddlers don't... Here's a good example. I can't remember, because some of this, as I said, I've watched this video before, but I can't remember a lot of it. Actually, most of it. But I don't remember if he goes into this, and this is where I got this from, but I know that toddlers, for example, don't have the mental capacity to understand certain things. So, for example, when a toddler hits you, because they think it's funny, they don't understand that what they think is funny isn't what you think is funny. They think everything is, in a way, they think everything is them. I mean, that sounds kind of twisted, but it kind of is how it works. They think how they feel is what everything else feels, despite being different. Let's continue.
No, kind of like,
Daddy sees that you're frustrated, so you threw your toy at your sister, but we don't throw toys at our sisters, okay? It hurts her. Let's think of other things we can do in the future when we're mad so we're not hurting anyone else, okay?
and in theory, it should work, but not for Mushroom Typical 9549. Our 4-year-old daughter is creative, insanely confident, funny, sweet, and can't entertain herself, but well, she can also be controlling, demanding, and basically a little Napoleon. This is what we did. For her first 2 years, we didn't use the word no, only corrected her in the positive. We explain the reason for everything. We never simply say, we are your mom or dad and we say to do this. We almost always give her the freedom to do things alone. Even though it tests our patience, when she did have tantrums, we gave her the space to feel her emotions and only empathized, not tried to correct anything. Fast forward 4 years, our daughter can be so terrible. There have been times where our daughter is at a restaurant on the floor crying. We really don't know what we did wrong. We feel like we followed all the books. The only discipline we have for her is the reflection corner with toys, books, and stuffies, which we use more for a space for her to calm down. But we don't know what we're doing wrong. Now, let us think this.
Now, see, this is what it all comes down to, in my opinion. It all comes down to balance. You can't be authoritarian and you can't be gentle parent. My dog's barking. Hold on, wait a second. I wish I had a cat. Fuck me. Okay. What was I saying? Yeah, it's what it comes down to. I think it all comes down to balance. You can't be an authoritarian parent and you can't be a gentle parent, because both of those are bad on both sides of the spectrums. They've each got their bad things about them, and nothing about the other outweighs the other in terms of good. So, the only solution is to in the middle, but I'm afraid that's the hardest thing. That's the hardest, just to balance, but we'll continue.
Through. Because, according to her, she's doing everything right. Not saying no, giving them the space to express their feelings. But, for some reason, they can't understand why their daughter is acting like a menace. Well, it would be easy to blame gentle parenting as a whole, right? You know, the internet's already doing it. But there is something missing from her understanding of what gentle parenting actually is. As a matter of fact, there's something missing from my own definition that I gave to you guys not too long ago. Boundaries! The common misconception about gentle parenting from both users and deniers is that they believe that boundaries don't exist at all within the parenting style. The idea that you can just allow your child to do whatever they want at any time that they please. But I get it though, right? Like, I've seen enough TikToks of kids being gentle parented, and I get why from an outside perspective it looks like their home is a free-for-all. But in reality, what it's supposed to be the actual definition is that you're supposed to use empathy, respect, understanding, and boundaries to teach kids proper behavior. Oh, kid throwing a tantrum in public? That's cool. But shit behind going home though. Immediately, kid makes a mess and gets it on themselves? Great. Not only are you helping me clean this up, but now bath time's a few hours early. You throw...
Exactly. See, that's the thing. A lot of these parents, these old style parents, they'll use physical punishment or some sort of abusive method to get the child to stop. These new parents, they don't get the child to stop whatsoever. They don't teach them anything, and they just let them run about. However, what you are meant to do, and what my parents did, which worked. Well, it worked in the outcome, but I still fucking hated it. But still, it worked. Is use mental strategies. I'm not talking about abusive strategies. Mental strategies, and what I mean by that is when your child does something bad, the punishment should be something relative to what they did. As he explained, if you made a mess, you're going to help me clean it up, whether you like it or not. And bath time is going to be a few hours long because you're more messy. Now, that is much better as a strategy, because the child understands, at least at that comprehension level, is able to understand the connection between that punishment. Belting them because they did something wrong, there's not much connection there, and that's just seen as abusive for a reason. But his example is, that's a perfect solution when it comes to, it depends on the punishment, depends on the thing they did wrong, to whether they can be what the punishment may be. For example, if someone went behind their parent, if a kid went behind their parents' back and did something online, like for example, use my situation that I brought up earlier. If I went behind my parents' back and talked to a person I wasn't meant to online, and they found out, I would get, in theory, what would be the ideal punishment is not be allowed online. You can still play, but not online, and for whatever period of time. It all depends on what it is, it all depends on what the action was to what punishment should be. Also, let me just turn this down. Hold on. Okay.
Toy in my face? No more toys for the rest of the day. Children still need to know the difference between right and wrong, and that actions can have consequences. Not for some arbitrary power dynamic, but how else will they grow up to be functioning adults if they're given complete freedom to react however they want just because they're upset or frustrated? Have y'all ever met an adult man-child?
Screaming. Customer is always right. Falling to the floor, throwing things.
Don't.
Oh my god, are they not embarrassed?
Raise your kids to act this way. It's okay to be frustrated, but they need to know there are consequences for behaving in a way that negatively affects other people. They're not the center of the universe. But you know what's crazy? There's actually something I want to prove, and that is that there's a lot of flack that gentle parenting gets that's rather misdirected. Sure, there's gentle parenting, but there's also permissive parenting. Both parenting styles, by definition, are gentle, but only one turns a toddler into Satan's greatest soldier. Permissive parenting is parenting with no structure, boundaries, or rules. They're highly responsive and affectionate to a child's emotions, but avoid conflict and discipline out of fear for their child not liking them or going into it. The good thing about gentle parenting, when done correctly, is that it's not just about setting consequences and rules for the sake of rules, but many times setting the boundaries, setting the consequences and rules before the act even happens. So if they ever break said rule, they're not confused as to why they're going home early or why their Nintendo Switch is in the broom closet all of a sudden. Or
exactly, you can't just tell a child they're doing something wrong without telling them why, or telling them beforehand that it's something wrong to do. It's like saying, is there a legal example I can give? I don't think that'd be a legal example I can give. But what about, okay, not a legal example, but let's say you're at a friend's house, right? But your friend's house, you're the whoever the owner of the house, I don't know, whoever is in charge of the rules in the house, and they didn't tell you what the rules were, and then you did something wrong, and then them yelling at you. That's a similar thing. It's like, you can't just yell and tell somebody they're doing something wrong without telling them beforehand that that was not allowed to begin with. Because being allowed to do because you can't really get angry at someone or something or anything. You can't get angry at them for doing something wrong when you didn't even tell them that was a bad thing to do to begin with, right? And that's the reason why if your child does something that's an accident to do with and they didn't do it on purpose, similarly enough, there shouldn't really be a punishment, depending, of course, but generally, if it's all about intent. Intent matters a lot. What he's saying is true, right? You can't just yell at somebody or punish a child for something they didn't even know was wrong.
sometimes even explaining why the rule they set is important and how it's for their benefit. You know, like,
look, Daddy understands
why the rule they set is important and how it's for their benefit. You know,
how, like I mentioned earlier when I talked about how I was only allowed to talk to people 2 years older than me when I was younger, or lower, and they explained why, and that's what he means.
Oh, like,
look, Daddy understands that you don't want to go to bedtime because you were having fun, correct? You were in the middle of playtime. But see, sleep is important. That way you can wake up tomorrow morning and have enough energy to go play some more tomorrow. What part of bedtime would you like Daddy to help you with? Oh, you wish Mommy were here?
So do I.
And that, you know, look, what is the point of that? I mean, sure, I've done it for fucking spring feed everything, but like, that was, so you should have done that beforehand, before any of that, not when nothing was happening.
Kid. But with permissive parenting, the parent oftentimes cares so much about building a friendship with their kid, being seen like the good guy, that they're scared to enforce even the most basic rules that are literally for their own kid's benefit and safety. If a kid is throwing a tantrum because they want to go to the store with you, but they don't want to put on their shoes, an authoritarian parent would have threatened the belt. A gentle parent would go, well, if you can't wear your shoes, you can't come to the store with us. A permissive parent? The child would have already been halfway to the store, bare toes to concrete. You can't really blame them though, not entirely at least. My theory is a lot of parents end up becoming permissive on accident, likely because they're so opposed to the authoritarian approach, wanting to leave.
Look at the, wait.
Becoming permissive on accident.
Oh, no, I thought that was his title. I thought the transcription, I thought it changed that to arse instead of accident, but no, it's their the clip he's listening to, it's their thing.
Accident, likely because they're so opposed to the authoritarian approach, wanting to leave the abusive approach behind, so desperately wanting to do the gentle approach, yet scared that they're gonna screw up, that they end up going so far to the other side of the spectrum that you actually end up being abusive again by being neglectful to their basic needs. Yeah. Sure, those kids may grow up feeling very loved and very safe around their parents, but they also grow up to have a lack of self-discipline, poor social skills, very self-involved and self-focused, and overall, very poor decision-making skills and emotional awareness. Something that Passion Choice 3538 unfortunately...
I think I'm failing my boys trying to gentle parent. And yeah, I think this is what it comes down to, is what he said, right? It's all about balance. You gotta meet in the middle not with the child, but meet in the middle of like in your head. In your head, you've got to meet in the middle. You can't just fall victim to not wanting to be abusive so bad that you end up going so far to the other side that you end up, like you said, being neglectful. And that's just, it's a whole new set of problems. Because you've got, if your child grows up with abusive parents, then they'll have a lot of problems mentally. But if they grow up with the permissive parents, then they'll end up with a whole set of problems that won't be caused to them, but caused to everyone around them. Who knows, if they end up like a Karen, they might end up in the jail. So yeah, then that'll be punishment for them, I guess. So it's just like, it's just battle around.
Knows all too well. I think I'm failing my boys trying to gentle parent. I have 3 sons, 6, 6, and 2, and I really started researching gentle/positive parenting and trying to put into practice around the time my twins were 2. However, I feel like by trying to constantly remember everything I've read/learned, I struggle in the moment, and I'm realizing I'm more of a permissive parent right now more than anything. I fall into the trap of letting them do things on their own timeline, and it's backfired. They still both suck their thumbs, they still need help in the bathroom, they still need me to lay with them every night to fall asleep. They need help getting dressed and academically because we never pushed anything. I think they're...
Yeah, and that's another thing he's bringing up, right? I didn't realize that being permissive also has like I didn't think of that as the consequences of having independence being absent. So like, you aren't able to be independent if you'll be dependent a lot longer if your parents is a permissive parent.
Pretty behind for kids their age. The biggest area I struggle in is discipline. I'm going to be so transparent, I have little to no idea how to do it. For example, when one of my kids pushes the toddler down or takes something from him, I don't know what to say or do. Because timeouts are viewed as ineffective, and that would be my go-to response, I just feel like I do nothing. I give the toddler another toy and don't discipline the culprit. I'm feeling like I'm just in no way doing my job as a parent right now.
And I'm gonna guess all the Redditors flamed him in the comments when he was just, I'm gonna put my guess and bet out there that the Redditors in the comment section were all flaming him, when they could instead be critiquing him with, constructive criticism. But I guess we'll never see unless he brings up the comments, because I have no idea how to find that Reddit comment.
Doing research for this video, and by research, I mean Reddit. This is unfortunately something that I saw often, of parents trying so hard to do everything right under the framework of gentle parenting. They read all the books, watch all the videos, listen to all the podcasts. They have a general understanding of what they're supposed to be doing, but alas, in the heat of the moment, that's when their default setting comes to light. And they always find themselves on either side of the spectrum. When it actually gets to a point where they need to set consequences, they either default back to yelling, corporal punishment, or being unnecessarily aggressive, or giving into their demands, letting them do whatever they want to avoid another tantrum.
Yeah,
and the child...
and I think being in the middle is one of the hardest things you can do as a parent. Only because, like, human nature is hard to overcome when it comes to how we feel in the moment versus how to react in a balanced way is, I think, the hardest of them all.
Now doesn't believe that the behavior is wrong. And furthermore, all they need to do is threaten to act like a fool, and mommy and daddy will let them do what they want. The issue here is, the concept of gentle parenting is much more difficult than probably every other form of parenting out there. Both ends of the extreme just needs you to fall victim to whatever emotion you feel at the time, anger or fear. You try to communicate that you understand their feelings, why their frustrations are valid, but you feel the scene they're causing is airing too close to what's disrespectful. Or you're already so tired and yet another breakdown by your toddler is the straw that broke the camel's back. And it's technically easier just to exert your physical superiority and literally force them to do what you want them to do. Thinking, screw it, I'll just do what my parents did to me in this situation and pay for whatever therapy they need in the future. Or you're so
that's a real fucked up situation. Therapy's not gonna fix shit.
Tired and annoyed that you figure saying yes to whatever stupid thing they want in a moment is worth it for a good night's rest. But the problem here, obviously, is how many times are you going to allow that behavior to happen until it becomes a learnt habit? And let's say you do slip up. Is it accurate to
Why did that remind me of that anime thing? This toddler bloody throwing his tantrum.
Times are you going to allow that behavior to...
Reminds me of that anime thing, you know, with the... I don't know how to describe it. But I don't know how to describe it. It reminds me of something that I can't remember though.
Happen until it becomes a learnt habit. And let's say you do slip up. Is it accurate to believe you're going to be confident the next time you find yourself in a similar situation? Or will you freeze and go back to your default? Unfortunately, this isn't an issue that's exclusive to gentle parenting. But a lot of the parenting styles people make the decision to commit themselves to, they find themselves pigeonholed, caring more about whether or not what they're doing fits within the rulebook. Analysis paralysis. You're so afraid of making the wrong choice that you end up making no choice. And you'll keep blaming yourself for doing it wrong. Almost as if you care more about fitting within the rules of a parenting criteria than you do about actually parenting. I think the issue here is obvious. And it's not entirely the parents' fault because they want to do right by their child, but struggle with the...
I mean, I'm sure sometimes it is the parents' fault. I mean, a lot of the time it could be because, like, maybe they don't care or they think... A lot of parents tend to get so, they get so offended when you try to suggest any tips on how to parent, and they don't take any tips and they'll just do what they do. They do as they please and they don't care about the consequences. But then you got other parents who do care, but they have no idea, because they have no idea how to actually balance it properly. And I'm sure it's extremely hard.
Idea that it's not the end.
Sorry, ad. Go away.
Of the world.
Sorry about that. That was an ad.
If they don't follow the exact framework that one Reddit comment said, especially when there isn't anything that explicitly states how to appropriately give consequences. But from what I've seen of the gentle parenting world, it's more conversational than the other styles because, for example, if your child were to hit another child, the consensus of most gentle parents are to immediately separate and remove your child from the area. But explain why what they did was hurtful and not okay. Ask why they did it and talk about how they could handle that situation differently in the future. Framing it not as a punishment, but as a way to protect the other kid because they made them upset, and allowing your child to wrestle with that. Again, this won't work though unless you as a parent come to terms with the fact that you'll never really know the answer when fitting into a parenting style matters more to you than making sure your child is prepared for the consequences of real life. But I get it. Most of us didn't grow up with a gentle parent, so we don't know what one looks like. Which takes us to Super Cryptographer 72.
And the unfortunate thing is, if you did grow up with a gentle parent, you likely don't even realize you're fucked up to begin with. It's like the only ones that realize they're fucked up is the ones that have the authoritarian parents. Because the ones who have one of the opposite spectrum, they don't realize that it was a bad thing what their parents did. Because they are I don't know how to put it, because their parents were the ones that made them like that.
Can anyone else relate to how insanely hard it is to gentle parent when you were raised in an environment that was the opposite of everything you're trying to do? Nothing like gentle parenting to bring to light that I myself
I love the pink lines from Photoshop.
have awful coping mechanisms for my own intense emotions. I was spanked and hit and constantly belittled and yelled at growing up. Kids were seen and not heard. Kids' feelings and thoughts.
He does know he can hide those pink lines, right?
Didn't matter. Obedience was key, and my parents beat that into me. I have no issues understanding big emotions and meltdowns that kids have and understanding why they're doing what they're doing. But my patience is so thin when I'm alone and one-on-one trying to navigate hard moments to be the parent my kid deserves. Piggybacking off of story 2, story 3 is the one that ties this all together. For most people who attempt to gentle parent, they're literally going against their own nurture. It's foreign to you as someone who's raised on the literal opposite side of the spectrum. Imagine trying to gentle parent your kid after they do something where if you did the same thing, you would have gotten that 2-piece wombo combo by your mom. As one Reddit comment pointed out, seeing your kid do things that you used to be punished for as a child literally triggers your nervous system and puts you back in that exact same
Yeah, and what's really shit is I know someone in my family who is so abusive, it's unreal. I wish I could name them. In fact, I hate them so much that I would dox them if I had the chance, but... Nah, I wouldn't. I'm joking. Sort of. But they are so abusive, it's unreal, and I feel so bad for them. But as I said before, you can't give them any tips on how to parent because they get so offended and aggro at you. It's unreal. I wish I could call CPS on them, but do nothing. I can't do anything. Nothing will happen, sadly. It's sad because there are shitty parents out there, and they do need help before they become monsters. And I'm not talking about, when I say abusive, I do mean the unique situation. They're authoritarian, but they'll become monsters in the other way. It's sad though. It's sad.
We live in a world where people are trying to do better than their own parents, but struggle because it's so far outside societal norms. So is the issue really with gentle parenting exclusively, or is the problem trying to fight against tradition and find the best way to do that? And honestly, I get it. Besides, the baseline difficulty of literally raising another human being, if there's one thing kids have mastered and perfected to a science, it's rage bait.
It's not your birthday, boys. It's Marion's birthday.
Oh!
This is the spit on me this time?
Ew, what the fuck? Was that food? Oh, it looked like food. Ew.
Yes. Hey.
Bro. If I had a child and spit on me like that, I'd be like, you know what the punishment would be? I'd get a bucket of saliva and I'd just dump it on them. That's what I would do. That would be the perfect punishment, so they know how it feels tenfold. Reckon that's a good punishment? Oh, God.
Hey, give me this. Messiah. How did you get this?
Oh, God.
I'm gonna whoop you.
I swear to God, there are some TikToks I found on people's kids where I fear that level of rage bait would have affected me. On top of the fact that it's already embarrassing and awkward for lots of parents to have their toddler throw a tantrum in public, especially in settings where lots of people are watching, all those eyes you perceive as judging you. Maybe you think, they must think I'm a bad parent because I can't get my child under control. In those moments, it's easy to revert back to the ancient techniques your mom instilled in your DNA, but that's when the deeper conversation gets started. What work can be done to unpack whatever prior traumas you have in your childhood, so you know why it's easy for you to get so triggered when your kid does something wrong. You don't want to slip up just because it's easier and less awkward to act fast in the moment than do what you know is right. But that poses another problem though. Is there such a right thing as the right way to parent someone? Isn't it crazy?
In my opinion, yes. It's called being balanced. It's like the yin and yang. I don't know if that applies here, but it's all about balance. Everything in the universe is balance, and there's a reason. You got to balance your parenting, because otherwise they're going to end up on one side of the spectrum, and they're going to be shit. They're going to be shit or act like shit. You don't want either.
How there's so many rule books on parenting, podcasts, YouTube videos, and yet there's not a single one that can teach you how to raise your kids specifically. The pattern with all three of these stories is emulative as to why gentle parenting is not the answer to toxic parenting either. Because forcing yourself to stick to one style in every scenario for every child you have isn't the answer to effective parenting. Ironically, diversifying your parenting styles and being flexible to what makes sense in the moment, even specifying it per child, is way better than being gung-ho on finding one right way. Now, that doesn't mean throw the entire book at them and constantly switching styles just because, but hey,
yes,
it's about...
that will confuse the child. Don't ever do that. Don't do a switcheroo every 10 seconds, because that'll confuse them.
Remembering the big picture, huh? If mom is more prone to nurturing, she could help teach you empathy and emotional intelligence. If dad is more prone to structure, he can teach you responsibility and proper discipline. Because at the end of the day, it's not about whose parenting style is right or wrong. It's about what type of adult do you want your child to grow up to become? And if that adult is a multifaceted person, wouldn't that require a multifaceted approach? But hey,
yes. And I think my parents did a great job at raising me, to be honest. There was fucking shit here and there, but they did their best. I think there's a lot you can do as a parent to raise a good child. Now, I think the best approach would be balanced. If I was to choose either balance on one side or the other, I think the best approach would be balance. And if you had to choose a balance on one side, leaning it to more a bit, I'd say a bit more to the permissive, but yeah, as a general balancing, because I think balanced is the key to everything. Balance is key to everything.
What do I know? I'm not a parent. But if me telling you that is enough for you to discount this entire video, then I mean, I guess, bro.
Yes, this was a great video. I shall link it. I shall link the video. There's that. There's that. I linked it. There we go. I actually remembered to link it this time. This is a really good channel. I'll actually subscribe. I did like that. Okay, I'm not sure if we should continue streaming. I got a bit pissed off at the start because, well, my dog started barking and it was hard to, and I kept forgetting what I was saying. I gotta edit some videos. I gotta work out what I do after, at the end of React. Maybe some gaming I should do at some point. That'll be a good idea. I don't know. I wish there were people here talking. That way I could respond to them. Anyways, I think that'll be about it. This is an hour long. Not even an hour long yet, but, I am unsure. Wait. My stream is on Twitch. Still live, right? Okay, yeah, my stream's on Twitch. That's good. Where's my live stream? Oh. Okay. I think that'll be about it. Don't know where Daki is, but I shall be back. This has been the Khan Kenji's commentary, depending where you're listening from, and I am out. End stream? Yeah.